If you just got your new Google Pixel 9a, these are the features which are gonna save your battery and life and health, improve performance, and unlock new features. So let's dig into those. So the first one, go to your settings, which you can actually start it from right here, just swipe. If you don't want to search it, the easiest way to access always through here, so they're always just there. Now, within these settings, what you can do right now is go to the battery, which is right here, battery. And now, within the battery, you have many different options. So now go to battery health. Within the battery health, what you can do, you have the battery capacity, battery health tips, but the case is that not many people actually realize that this is also a button. So when you tap on it, you're gonna see this option, and the main thing, always make sure that use charging optimization it's actually ticked on. So it is like you can see right here. And now we have two different options here, which is the adaptive charging and limit to 80%. And that kind of is up to you, because adaptive charging will learn your patterns, how you sleep, when do you actually connect your phone to charge, and learn from it, and will try to remove the charging and kind of stop charging before it reaches the 100%. Because the battery is often the most damaged when it's actually hitting that full capacity 100%. Or what you can do is that second option, which is the limit to 80%. So this will in general make your battery kind of more last for much longer, but the case is that you're kind of losing this 20% of capacity kind of every day. And the second thing with that option, you can actually check what is the current kind of cycle count, so literally how much someone used that phone before you. And this is a very kind of important kind of check, especially if you're buying a used phone. So how to find it? Go to the settings again, and within the settings search for the option about phone, which is right here. Boom. And now on the about phone, you need to scroll down and find the battery information. Within the battery information, you can see how many cycles did it actually, get. So obviously this is a new phone, and as you can see, it's just, a 0 cycle, but you'll see on yours how many cycles it got. So that means how many charges. So if it has, thousands of charges, then yeah, it's probably a very kind of used phone. But like this kind of can always show you like what you're actually buying. Remember, the more cycles you see here, that means that the more wear the phone has, which means you can negotiate that price. Every time when I actually grab a new phone and just set it up, I always check on what's the kind of the highest refresh rate that the phone can support. And for example, with the Google Pixel 9a, it's the same thing. So it's like when you actually kind of set at the beginning, it will be set on probably like a 60 hertz, but the case that this phone can support up to 120. So let me show you how to set it and change it. So what you're gonna do, search for the display and touch, and the display and touch, scroll to the bottom, and here you have this smooth display. This will automatically set it on the 120 hertz, which means your experience and your kind of a phone feeling will immediately speed up. And obviously this will slightly take more power because 120 hertz takes more than the 60 hertz, but like the experience of it, I just love it, and I don't see myself using actually 60 hertz on a daily basis. But when you actually buy a phone, immediately it's not turned on, and I actually don't know why, so I thought that it's definitely worth turning it on. So another thing what you can use is the function of the double tap, and if you've never used it before, I'm gonna show you what does it do and why is it so cool. So for example, if you're listening to some music and for example you have a phone in your pocket and maybe you have a headphones on, what you can do to just resume or pause the music, you can just double tap. Boom, and it just resumed the music for me, if you don't hear it. And now if I double tap again, boom, it paused it. So let me show you how to actually set it up. So go to your settings again, and now within the settings, it's slightly in a different space than we normally would find it. And I don't know why, but like it's actually in the system. And within the system, what you need to find, you need to go for the gestures, which is right here. And now within the gestures, it's the top option, which is quick tap to start action. Now, make sure that this is ticked on. When you tick it on, it'll actually work. And then set up what is the actual kind of action that you want this phone to do. Like take a screenshot, access your digital assistant, play or pause media, which I just did here, or maybe even toggle the flashlight, right? So for example, for those of you who maybe want to use a flashlight often, you can just put this, and now look. Done. Pretty easy. So another thing, we're going into more of a multitasking, and also one of the features which I use very often, which is the split screen. So how to do it? So the first thing is that grab the app that you actually want to split screen. So I'm gonna, slide up, and then it shows me all the apps which I have open in the background. And now tap on the actual icon of the app and choose the split screen, so which is right here. Boom, and now this will be the first app that's actually going into a split screen, and now I can choose what will be the second app which I wanted to do. So for example, I want to do it with YouTube. Boom, and now I immediately have Google and YouTube at the same time. So thanks to it, you can kind of increase your productivity, and I think that's just one of the features which many people are using. So for example, if you're watching some YouTube and maybe at the same time you want to do some notes, so you open the Notes app. So it's just cool thing. And the case is that if you want to adjust it, so for example, like if you have a note, let's say on the bottom, or you have, this one, you want this to be bigger, this to be bigger, if you tap on the line, which is right here, you can adjust the size of each app, so you can set it however you like, so it kind of fits your preferences. But the case is, if you are using this split kind of screen very often, what you can do, you can actually save that to your home screen. And how to do it? So just, you are on your, split screen, just go here. And within here, now look, you have both of those up here. Just tap on one of those, doesn't matter which one. And here you have the option Save App Pair, which is right here. And boom, now it appeared as an icon. So thanks to it, if you have often maybe a YouTube with some notes or Netflix with some notes, and you just want to boom open it as you always set it up, this is just a quick feature. Another thing I think it's connected to is security. So for example, if you're sharing, a phone with maybe your like your friends, or maybe you're giving that to a child, but it's set on some apps on, not like a YouTube Kids or something like that, you can actually lock the app on a phone, so they cannot see anything else except that actual app. So let me show you how you actually can set it up, but first you actually need to turn that function on. So go to your settings. Within the settings, just scroll and search for the security and privacy, which is right here. Now within the security and privacy, scroll down and search for the option more security and privacy, and now scroll to the bottom. Now you have something called an app pinning. Tap on it. Within the app pinning, just turn this on. Now it's gonna show you that, this is just making sure that you can actually pin it, and pinned app may open other apps or not. So I'm gonna show you how to set it up. And the second, just press on the lock device when unpinning. So that means it doesn't allow it to do that. And obviously, like if you haven't set the screen lock, that's what you need to do right now. So now, if you want to actually lock some app, just open the app that you want. For example, I'm gonna choose Google Chrome. And like if I want to lock that app and pin it, I'm gonna again open to the apps, and now tap on the icon of the app on the top, and now you have the option called pin. And now if I pin it, then it says to me that the app is pinned. Got it? And now look, like I can use the app normally, so I can set, for example, Google Chrome for someone, and if they, try to swipe, they can't. Like it doesn't actually allow them to swipe. But if you want to leave that option, you can swipe and hold, and now it just left the option of that app lock. But now, again, I need to put my pattern to actually go to the phone. So this is a pretty cool thing, especially if you're sharing a phone with someone, or you want to show them some things, but maybe you're leaving the room and you don't really want them to kind of snoop around at everything that you're doing. So I think it's worth looking into. So continuing on the privacy, did you know that the Google Pixel actually has a built-in VPN? So let me show you how to actually turn that on. So when you go to the settings, within the settings, go to the network and internet. Within the network internet, go to the VPN. And within the VPN, you have the built-in VPN by Google. Now scroll on it and press more. Boom, and yeah, allow to send notifications, because it will show you if it's turned on or not. VPN is connecting. And boom, now VPN is connected. So why would you actually think about using a VPN, and what is a VPN? VPN is a virtual private network, so it's like a protector, like a guarding you from the internet. The main thing is it's actually guarding you from your internet provider as well. So for example, if you use internet normally, your internet provider can see everything that you're scrolling and doing. Yeah, I know, so many people don't know about that. But VPN actually protects you, and not only from your internet provider, who might be, you know, a private company and looking through what you're actually searching for. But that's not the end, because obviously it will give you access to certain websites or apps which often they're maybe not available, or sometimes they're not available in your country, or maybe on the country that you're actually visiting. So, you know, this is a pretty cool feature, and this is, I think, a really big privacy feature which not many people know about and never have set it up. One thing which you definitely need to know, that, you know, when it comes to the Google VPN, it might just slightly slow down the internet, but the case is that if you are you know, on already like a pretty slow internet, you're not gonna feel the difference. Probably if you're on like 500 megs or 1000 megs, which is like a very fast internet, then you might feel it. But, you know, in general, it's a great kind of feature. But if you want to turn this off, you'll just literally go to that same function and just tap on it. And no, boom, now it's off. So let's also customize your phone a little bit, change maybe a wallpaper, change the icons and colors, and let me show you how we can actually do that. So again, go to those settings. Within the settings, go to the wallpaper and style. Within here, you have many different options, like you can change the clock, how kind of appears, so you can customize it however you like and however you feel. You have the colors of the actual, you know, clock and the actual, you know, phone as well. You have the wallpaper, so you can set up the wallpaper right here, and you can choose many different wallpapers just available. Which, you know, I think is just making your life nicer, because obviously, like when you're using the phone, it's your personal device, right? And with that, like you can actually adjust it however you like, you know, from, you know, shortcuts to icons and everything within that actual set. And you can even see the, you know, the lock screen and the home screen. So home screen as well can be all set it up. You can also use something called the theme icons. So when you tap on it, you're gonna see that, you know, the icons will actually change for the theme that you actually have it turned on. And because of it, you can test out all the themes which are built in. And you can also, if you want to have more apps, you can set the app grid. So you can, you know, choose how many apps do you want to have it on that home screen. So yeah, I kind of challenge you to check all of those out, so you can actually customize and make that phone feels like it's really yours. So another thing is actually going into the battery and saving the battery. So the easiest kind of way, which most people, you know, kind of don't even look into it. They're trying to find the adaptive, you know, those settings which I talked to you about at the beginning. But I think the easiest way is actually to set the right notifications. And what do I mean by that? So first, go to your settings, then go to the notifications. And within the notification, go to app notifications, and here you have all the apps which are actually kind of sharing the notification. Change the most recent, change to all apps, and within here you have many different apps which are actually sending you notifications. And the challenge is that every time when you get a notification, you know, your phone kind of lights up. Often there is a vibration or a sound, so that takes power, right? And often you'll have a lot of apps which you don't use. Like I can bet that like at least 5 to 10 apps are here which you don't use at all. You still get a notification from them because you see that, but it's just taking the power from you. And that's not what you want, right? You want your phone to last the whole day. And setting that, especially at the beginning, it's something which I totally recommend you to do. One of the other functions which I think a lot of people who are maybe using a camera and you want to have a higher quality photos, and you want to have a photos which you can, you know, edit right after, so maybe adjust the white balance or the color or the exposure or contrast and stuff like that. You can set the phone to also take raw photos. So let me show you how we can actually do that. So if you go here and you go to more settings, and here you have the option which says advanced, which is right here. You have the option which is a raw JPEG control, and you can turn this on. If you turn this on, this will actually show the option to turn on RAW plus JPEG in the viewer, and obviously those photos will take up more space, so you need to be very aware of that. And these photos also will not be backed up by default. So if you have a kind of a Google backup, this will not be backed up, but this will allow you to give you the option to create better photos, higher quality, especially if you're editing photos after. So that's a function which I very much like, and I think this is just so useful for especially anyone who looks into more professional photography and you want your photos to be better so you can edit them later. But you can also set it within the camera app. So look, if you have it here, I have it raw, and when I tap on it, it says to me RAW plus JPEG, it's actually turned on. And you can turn it off at any moment. So if you realize that, hey, my photos with the Google Pixel are okay, I don't need it, I don't need to have it taken by, very advanced kind of very big photos, then cool, you can just tap off and it'll turn off. So another thing, it's actually making the videos. So what you can do, you can actually turn on the 4K or even change the 60 frames per second, and let me show you why and how you can actually do that. So if you're on the photo mode, you might be here, you can swap quickly from photo to the video, right? And here, just tap on the settings. Within the settings, we have many different options, and what I want you to do is swap the 1080p to the 4K. 4K is actually much higher resolution, much higher quality. It's also easier to edit after, especially if you need to maybe crop or cut off some of the part of the video. So from now on it will record in 4K, but remember that 4K videos takes much more space. Another thing which you can also do, if you're doing a lot of maybe stunts, or maybe you're doing some sports or extreme sports, and you have some fast movements, that I definitely recommend you to change the 30 frames per second to 60 frames per second, because 60 frames per second is actually grabbing more images, more frames, as it says, because it's actually double while you do that. So for example, for maybe some extreme sports or something that's actually fast going, then this is a pretty cool feature to have it turned on. But you don't have to turn on all the kind of videos that you're doing, because obviously again it might take a little bit more space, but I think I'll just change it, and I do it often. I change it especially when I see I'm doing wakeboarding or some other sports and I want to have something that it's actually grabbing that movement. Another feature which I think it's like a security / protecting you is actually kind of making sure you're not getting those spam calls. And what it does, you can actually set up the phone app to kind of filter all these spam calls, which Google already knows through their database, and often when people are getting the calls, they mark it this is a spam. So thanks to it, you're just literally not getting them, or immediately it's going to show you that this is a spam call. How to actually turn this on? So go to the phone app and then tap on those 3 dots at the top, and then go to settings. Within the settings, you have the caller ID and spam. Just tap on it, and then you can do filter spam calls. Boom. And from now on, every time when you have a call which might be a spam, which is often those telemarketers, like telesales, like it will actually filter it. One of the other things which you can actually change is this, 3 buttons which you often have as navigation. So if you go to the settings and then go to the display and touch again, and now scroll a bit down, you have the navigation modes, and you can swap the navigation modes to a gesture navigation. And when you actually turn this on, now you don't have those buttons, but you have just a line, and when you do this, it will just come back to the main menu. But the cool thing is that you can also go between those, go between the apps by just going like that, and have all the apps which you have previously open and stuff like that. So it is a very useful feature for those of you who don't know it. Check it out which one kind of feels more natural for you. Like I used both of those pretty often, and I very much like it, and the kind of sensitivity of it is pretty great on the Google Pixel 9a or some other phones as well, because this can be obviously applied to kind of majority of the Androids out there. These are the top features of the Google Pixel 9a, which I very much like to use, and I think everyone who just got the Pixel 9a should use. And if you like it, you know what to do. Just hit that like and subscribe so you're up to date with everything what's going on my channel.
MadTechTalk, tech so fly, breaking down gear, let's amplify. Sub like, don't miss a thing. Tech reviews with a little bling. We out for now, but stay tuned. More fire, tech is dropping soon.